on a rainy Sunday, and uh, and of course Dr. Sanjay Dhawan, who's here to, I mean, give an insight on cataract and glaucoma. So I invite Dr. Sanjay Dhawan, Director Ophthalmology.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And really, thank you very much for taking out time on this lovely Sunday weather and braving the rain to come here. When I was driving down to my home, things, take it easy. You can take your time, come easily. There may not be any audience now. Then I just messaged them that we have some really good dedicated audience with us, so please rush fast, come over now. So two more colleagues of mine will be joining me in a moment. And so today's topic is cataract and glaucoma. It's a very, very common thing in ophthalmology and eye surgery. So how I normally take my talk is that I make it interactive. So feel free to interrupt me any point of time, raise your hands, ask questions. The more questions you ask, the more interactive it will become and the more useful will it be for everyone else. So that's me and my colleague Dr. Parul Sharma and Dr. Amanjot will be joining me in a moment. What exactly is cataract? Now, inside the eye, can you give me the mic? Yeah. Can you hear me? Is it on now? Thank you. So inside the eye, there is a natural lens which focuses the images of the outside world onto the retina. Retina is our light sensitive layer of the eye. It is the sensor in the eye. So on that sensor, the images of the outside world are focused. This focusing is done by a lens, a natural lens inside the eye. When this natural lens starts turning opaque, becoming hazy, that condition is called cataract. So if you see here, this in the center, this is the lens of the eye. It's not clear anymore. It is opaque. It is whitish grayish in color. This is what is called cataract. So I'll go to the next picture here. The normal lens is clear, but the lens on the towards the right side, that is grayish white. That is cataract. So when this lens becomes hazy, it starts affecting the vision. So no longer can you see things clearly. So what are the symptoms of cataract? First and most important, of course, is the blurring of vision. There's a haze, there's a cloudiness in the view, and so you can't see things clearly. It affects both the distance vision and the near vision. Sometimes the vision is variable. You may notice strangely that vision may become worse in bright light. You go out in the sun, it is bright, sunny, others can see things better, but the person with the cataract may see it worse. You come inside in a dim light, you may actually study better. So often people notice that indoors in dim light, the vision is better, but outdoors it is worse. There can be a lot of glare at night time, especially if you go out on the road, if you drive, if you look at lights, all the lights appear to be totally scattered. There's a starburst kind of a thing which happens. There's a lot of glare at night time. And it happens, right from the very beginning of cataract. In fact, the very first sign or very first symptom of cataract is actually glare. So people who are, very active outdoors, they drive at night time, they are the first one to notice the initial symptoms of cataract in the form of a glare. This is followed by a decreased contrast, that in evening, when there's a low contrast, or in a rainy season, or in mist and fog, things are not very clear. So the discomfort increases, the contrast is less. Then followed by a decrease in the vision or blurring of vision. You can even get to see multiple images of the same object. So when you look at any, say, a point of light, you see multiple lights around it. Look at the moon, the multiple images. Look at the stars, the multiple ghost images around it. So seeing multiple images is also a sign of cataract. Usually cataract does not give rise to any other symptoms. There is no pain, discomfort, no redness and all, unless it is very, very late and advanced. So if there is any complication in the cataract, then you can also have pain, redness, watering from the eyes. But most of the time, those symptoms are not there. The other thing is, yes, the glasses power may start changing rapidly. you know, we all need reading glasses after the age of 45 or so. And suddenly somebody might see that, okay, at 60, now reading glasses are not required. So the person may actually feel excited and thrilled that now he can read everything clearly without the need for glasses, not realizing it is an early sign of cataract. That round the corner, cataract is looming, it's coming back now. So this is called a phenomenon of second sight. That from 45, we all needed reading glasses, thick reading glasses, and could not see anything clear nearby. But suddenly at 65, 70, or whenever the cataract is beginning, you see that, notice that everything is very clear now. Now you can read without the glasses. But a few weeks, a few months down the line, the vision starts to becoming dim, and the cataract starts showing up. So blurred vision, everything appearing hazy, is a typical symptom of cataract. How is it diagnosed? Often, so you go and meet an ophthalmologist. Ophthalmologist is the eye specialist or eye surgeon, and they conduct an examination. They assess your vision, glasses power. They examine the eye under microscope in greater detail, and we are able to see the opacity in the lens. We also look at other things in the eye to see whether other things are okay or not okay, whether the cornea is okay or not okay, whether the eye pressure is okay or not okay, whether the retina is okay or not okay. Is there any other reason for decreased vision, or there is an other contributor to decreased vision? So we do all those tests and then reach the diagnosis of cataract or anything else being there. Once we diagnose that there is cataract, and we also feel that yes, the vision has decreased to a level where it is affecting the quality of life of the patient, and that part usually patient decides himself. Then that is the point of time that we need to treat the cataract. In early stage, treatment is not required. It's not really important to go for treatment. No. As long as you're comfortable with your vision. I have my other colleague here, Dr. Manjot. Please come and join me on the stage here. Dr. Manjot is also a senior consultant in ophthalmology in our department. So, in early stages of cataract, surgery is not really required. One can easily wait for the time. But yes, when it starts interfering with your normal routine life, in the pursuit of your work, or in the pursuit of your pastime or passion. Say if you're fond of reading, and if you can't read, if you're fond of watching television and you can't see the characters clearly, or if you're fond of driving and you can't drive, So if you're fond of doing something and you cannot do that, that is the time to definitely go for surgery and not delay it too further. The treatment is the form of surgery only. There is no medical treatment till date. There is some recent article going around saying that there is some medicine which is being discovered which, with putting those drops in the eye, the cataract will be reversed. However, that is purely at an experimental stage right now, being used in animals' eyes. The media what is reported also is the results seen in animal eyes, not in human eyes. No. But they say yes, it has a potential that it may be of use. It is at least 5 years down the line, if not now. But in the past, a lot of research has gone into trying to find out a medicine which could reverse the cataract, but nothing has been of any success. So surgery is the only treatment available till date, and maybe for a long time to come, surgery will be the only option for case of cataract. At present moment, the cataract surgery is very highly evolved and very advanced. There are two main options in cataract surgery nowadays. The first one is what is called the MICS. It's also called micro-incision cataract surgery, or also simply called microphaco. The second surgery is called FLACRS. Forget about this long name. It's basically, in simple terms, blade-free cataract surgery, which you must be hearing in the newspaper, or this femtosecond laser cataract surgery, or a femtosecond laser-assisted cataract refractive surgery, FLRCS. So these are the two current options which we have for performing the cataract surgery. Now, what are the features of MICS? It is done through a very small hole of 2 millimeters only. However, these incisions or cuts are made with very fine blades or knives. The cut in the lens is also made by a needle, and then the cataract is removed by using high frequency sound waves, or what is called the phacoemulsification. And thereafter, a foldable lens is implanted inside the eye. Whereas in femto laser surgery, all these steps are performed by a laser. We do not use any knife, we do not use any blade. It's not made by hand. So it is all machine controlled computer controlled, so therefore very highly precise and accurate. So the scope of error or the margin of error is very, very small. I mean, there's nothing in medicine, in surgery or anything, there's nothing which is 100% error free or 100% safe, because human body is not also perfect. No? So, but the risk or the error is minimized. It is much lesser in femto laser than in the other form of surgery. So no blades, no needles are used. It is highly precise, highly accurate, and so there's less of chance of human error because it being machine controlled or computer controlled. That makes it basically has an impact on the results. Though the difference in the results may not be zameen asman. The result may be only what we typically call 19-20 ka antar, 18-20 ka antar, may not be a huge difference, but every slight increment in the quality of vision is desirable, is always welcome. So, with the advent of this new technique, new tool, which we have recently acquired and installed at our Max Panchal Center. Now, this is the machine which you see is the femto laser, which is so called as the blade-free laser. And it's a remarkable new machine, remarkable new tool. It is useful in all forms of eye surgery, be it surgery on the cornea, be it surgery of LASIK, be it surgery of cataract, and maybe going down the line in retina and also in glaucoma, this will be used. So, what it is doing it is eliminating the need for knife and blade, and also eliminating the need for hand-controlled thing. So, if a thing is hand-controlled, then the surgeon has to be really remarkable, has to have a really high skill and high experience. Whereas if it's a machine-controlled thing, then surgical skill and surgical experience becomes less important. That means more and more surgeons can deliver better and better results. That means you can feel safer, even when you're not sure. See, you as a patient will never get to know how skilled a surgeon is. You'll only by hearsay. What have you heard from your friends? What have you heard from your family? But this surgeon is good, that surgeon is good. But if something is, a technique is used where the surgical skill and competence and experience does not affect the results, does not affect the safety margin, and the surgery itself, its technique is safe, why not go for that? So this tool is bringing about that kind of a change in our eye surgery now. When we do the surgery, we remove the natural lens from the eye. Now, if we remove the natural lens of the eye, how will the image from the outside world be focused on the eye? In olden days, there was no lens implanted in the eye. So, people after the cataract surgery had to wear thick glass, a +10 glass for looking at distance things. So, and to look at near thing, they had to use +13 glass, because for the near, power is 3 diopters more than the distance. So, say imagine +10 for distance and +13 for near. And it is a very, very heavy, very, very thick glass, which if it had limitations, the only central area was clear, the background was all blurry. Walking in those used to be difficult. They had to often walk like this. If they had to climb the downstairs, they had to really look at head down and very, very slowly. So it was a big hindrance. But in those days, that was the only option. Then later on came the intraocular lenses. First, there were hard lenses, which went through a larger incision. Then came the foldable lenses. So right now, what we use is what is called foldable intraocular lenses, which can be loaded in a special injector and can be inserted through 2 mm small hole into the eye. They open up and they place in the position. So this lens eliminates the need for those thick glasses. Now those +10, +13 glasses are no longer required. However, a small number would still be required. So what are the different types of lenses that we have now? We have got what is called a unifocal lens. We have unifocal toric lens. We have multifocal lens. We have got multifocal toric lens. And I'll tell you that each one of them has got their advantages and disadvantages. We cannot say that one is better than the other. It depends on patient's condition of the eye, patient's requirement, patient's lifestyle, patient's visual needs. So it is best to sit and discuss with your eye surgeon that which type of lens is most suited for you. Tell your requirements, your aspirations, and then reach on the type of lens to be implanted. But these are the main choices now. Other choices, X company, Y company, Z company is not important. Price of the lens, whether it is 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, it is not important. don't often patients equate the quality to the price of the lens. Do not get into that trap. And a more expensive lens does not mean it's a better lens for you. For you, maybe a cheaper lens may be more effective and more useful. So discuss with the doctor the merit and demerits of each and every lens. Tell your requirement, your needs, and then reach on like which lens to implant. In unifocal lens, what is done is the power of the lens is adjusted in such a way that for far vision, for routine moving around, glasses are not required. However, for reading work, glasses are still required. About 2.5 or 2 glasses are required for reading work. But the far vision is quite clear. Yes, maybe for looking at the bottom line of the television, a small number may be required, but mostly not. However, the quality of vision, the contrast, the night vision is much better. We use toric lens where there is a high cylindrical power inside the eye. When the cornea is not uniformly circular, this is what is called bend in the cornea or a jhole in the cornea or cylindrical power in the cornea. Then we use a unifocal toric. Multifocal lens. This lens has got 2 powers. One power for distance, one power for near. And there are multiple, this is an example of multifocal lens. There are rings inside it, and the alternate rings, alternate zones are for distance and for near. So as a result of which, with this lens implanted in the eye, the need for distance or near glasses is minimized. I'm using the word minimized. I'm not saying eliminated. Minimize that you will need it very, very infrequently. Maybe for very fine print, small number is required. Maybe for watching TV, a small number may be required. But most of the time, maybe 95% of the time, and once both eyes are done, maybe 98% of the time, you may not need any glasses. But yes, some glasses may still be required. But there are some disadvantages in this also. The quality of vision in a multifocal lens is not as good as the quality of vision in a unifocal lens in terms of clarity, in terms of contrast, in terms of night vision. Now we have sir, he just asked me a question that he has undergone a cataract surgery about a year ago in both the eyes, and even after the 3 months of adjustment period, he still has some difficulty. When he shifts his gaze from TV to near, he has difficulty in reading. Night time there's some glare, and night vision is not very good. So I asked him which type of lens was implanted, and what I was expecting, he said the same answer, that he has had a multifocal lens implanted in both the eyes. Now, decreased contrast, slightly more glare is a normal feature with this lens. However, the shifting of the vision from far to near, near to far is probably that your muscles are not yet tuned. You need to do some eye exercises to train your muscles now. So with that you can improve now. He was also talking about some mucus discharge, some dryness. So dryness also happens with age. So use of lubricant eye drops, eye exercises will actually further help you in your vision. However, being a multifocal lens, the advantage is, yes, the glasses are not needed. You're practically free of glasses. But the disadvantage is there is some glare and some decrease in the contrast. So this is what you have to decide beforehand, that according to your lifestyle, whether you really need that sharp contrast and night vision, or you cannot, you can do very well without it, and you would rather have the advantage of being glasses free. Or if somebody whose requirement is such that they need very sharp vision, no glare, a lot of nighttime driving, for them I would advise going for a unifocal lens and be content with the use of reading glasses. We cannot get everything. What God made, that was perfect. What man made can never be perfect. We can try to imitate God, we can try to go close to that, but we can never replicate that. And often patients, what they think is, look, we are spending so much money. You're charging us 1 lakh, 1.5 lakh for this surgery. Why do we have to wear glasses after that? All I say is, look, we are trying to imitate nature, we are trying to go close to it, but we cannot replace it. So it's best to know these things beforehand and have very realistic expectations from the surgery, from the results, and be prepared to accept the shortcomings also. Right? See, after all, a cataract also happens in the natural eye. If the human body was so perfect, we would never age. We would live forever. And we'll have sharp vision forever. But it doesn't happen. It is nature's rule that things need to degenerate. The things need to go down, and we have to willingly accept that decline in our lives. So why not accept shortcomings in the surgery also. So it's a humble request to everybody that don't expect the doctors to be gods. No, yes, expect them to pay full attention to you, be committed to you, do their best. But yes, just accept when they do their best. Their best can never be even half as good what the God can be. Is the surgery painful? No. The surgery is not painful at all. It is done under eye drop anesthesia. We don't even give any injections anymore. Patient does feel some stretching on the eyes when the eyes are open. You do feel some pressure on the eye, but there's no pain felt in the surgery. All that you have to do is lie down straight with arms by your side and look up at a bright light of the microscope. But yes, yes sir.
In one eye, when I was operated on, there was no pain at all. In the other eye, there was pain.
Second eye there was
During
pain.
the-
Second eye there was
during the
pain.
operation.
It was second eye there was pain.
To the extent that doctor said, well, if you don't stop going ooh and ah, I'm
Yeah.
going to stop the surgery.
It is second eye which was painful, sir. Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll tell you why does it happen. Yes, sir.
You know, I as a patient,
Yeah.
when I grow old,
Yeah.
I get all these
Yes,
things.
sir.
In a young age, these things don't happen now.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so there is no harm using specs.
Yeah.
But what I would need at this point of time is the best I can do it, the best I can get it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Glasses doesn't matter. Even today,
Yeah.
I'm wearing glasses, and a lot of people wear glasses now. For me, who will decide? Doctor will decide which is the best thing for me to do it. Like you said, the first thing, I don't remember the name. That is the best one or the multi one, because I need the sharpest,
Yeah.
the best. As I grow old, I need all these things.
So that's why I said that you have to actually collaborate with the doctor. You and the doctor have to become partners in your treatment.
See, I don't understand these things. Doctor has to tell me what to do.
That's
How
why
do
I
I
said
know?
you have to tell the doctor your requirements.
My requirement is to get the best.
No. No, this is what where we actually tend to go wrong. You have to tell what exactly you need. What is your lifestyle? How do you spend your daytime? How much of driving do you do at night time? Whether you play any sport, when you play any golf, or you go to the club and play bridge. How much of outdoor person are you? How much of indoor person are you? How much of reading is involved in your thing? So what is your visual requirement? You have to make the doctor understand that. And then tell the doctor, okay, fine, I'm not concerned about wearing lenses, not wearing glasses. My requirement is this. Which do you think is the best suited for me? Then doctor will explain to you, okay, fine, this is the advantage of this lens, this is the disadvantage of this lens. And if you think that you're in agreement with whatever he's saying, opt for that lens. That's what I said. The best, the word best is actually very, very wrongly used. What is best for you may be the worst for me.
Understood.
Right. So, and we should not, I said, do not equate the price of the lens with the quality of the lens. The most expensive lens may not be the best lens for you. Maybe a very humble lens may be the most suited for you. So, because if you equate the price, then you will go for the multifocal toric lens, which is the most expensive. And you may find that no, it has got glare, the contrast is not so good. So,
Let me get interrupted.
yeah, sure.
So you answered your question yourself when you said you don't mind wearing glasses.
Yes.
So the sharpest vision is with the unifocal lens, as Dr. Sanjay said. The sharpest to the least halos and glares is a unifocal lens. So probably that would be best suited.
So the
Without getting confused.
the specs will be both for reading and
Mainly for one, the other one would be a minor difference.
which has to be a bifocal.
Maybe bifocal or that will depend post-surgery because as we said, we are not 100%.
I understand.
For 2% you might need glasses, but you'll have dependence for one and freedom for the other. That's all.
There may be mild pain about 2 to 4 hours after the surgery, for which some painkillers are given, and the pain is gone by the next morning. So it's a fairly comfortable and convenient surgery. It's done on a daycare basis. So you need to spend about 3-4 hours in the hospital only, not more than that. There's some time required before the surgery for dilating and preparing the eye, some time for recovery afterwards. So typically about 3 to 5 hours is all that it takes now. It is important to not rush into the hospital and try to rush out of the hospital. Often patients, they come and say, oh, when will you discharge us? Not realizing it will go home also, and you have to just relax. So be prepared to spend about 3 to 5 hours in the hospital. Most people can resume their normal activities from the next day. Even on the same day also, people can go home, walk around, look after themselves. So there's no care required. So you're up and about, you can move around. You can take care of your own self. You can even watch TV on the same day. But yes, I would, on that same day of the surgery, you need to take things a little easy. From next day, you can start going out. No, you can start most of your normal stuff from the next day. There are some precautions are there, like no massaging, no pressing the eyes for a month's time. Water should not go into the eye for a month's time, but you can have your bath from the next day itself. The visual recovery is quite good within a few days to a week's time. However, it continues to improve over the next few weeks. At about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we give the final glasses to power to the patient. We check for the glasses number, and whatever number is there, we give the number after about 2 to 4 weeks time. There are medicines required, about 2-3 medicines for 1 week and 1 medicine for another 2-3 weeks time. So the precaution is only minor, and it's only for a month's time. In a week's time, you practically, back to your normal life. For first week, there may be a bit of irritation, bit of discomfort, but not really much. Most patients, become quite okay within a day's time, but that part varies from person to person, and depending on how your body behaves, how your eye behaves, how complicated the cataract was in your eye. Yes.
I had a multifocal operation. The same day, after a few hours, distance was no issue. But the reading took 3 months to really get back to sort of normal.
Why don't you answer this question?
So, as we said, multifocals have their little shortcomings. When was your second eye done, sir?
No, about a week later. So 3-4 days.
So that's when the adjustment starts. In multifocal lenses, what we say is the brain has to adjust to this new kind of lens. It's not used to those zones and rings. So it's an adaptation. Sorry. It's an adaptation of the brain. We call it neuroadaptation. So that is why it takes a period of about 3 months. So it depends how fast the patient is at adaptation.
Just mic close. Yeah.
Hello? No, it's not
It's
working.
working.
Yeah, it is working.
Bring closer.
Yeah. Okay.
Just.
He has to be heard. Sure. Hello? Closer? Can you hear me, sir? So it's a neuroadaptation. That's why we ask questions to the patients that how fast did you get adjusted to your multifocal glasses? So many times people have tried multifocal and bifocal glasses and they had to throw them away. So we say you're not suited for multifocal lenses. So everybody does not have that ability of rapid neuroadaptation, and it can vary from individual to individual and upon the nature of the patient also. Some people are very fussy. We say don't get multifocals. So these are very minor.
The point is that in multifocal lenses, IOLs, the vision that you're getting is a totally different type of vision from whatever you have experienced so far. It's a totally new kind of vision which you have, because the same lens at the same point of time is focusing far and the near together. So suppose there are actually multiple things in your line of vision, all are focused together, and that can be a little unnerving and distracting somewhere at a time. So you have to train yourself. In fact, that training happens unconsciously to ignore the image that you're not interested in. Suppose you're looking at far off thing, but the near image also interfering with your vision. You have to learn to ignore that. So the brain automatically learns to dim it down or switch it off when you're looking at far off things. But when you're focusing at the near object, the brain also learns to dim down or defocus or ignore the far thing. So this adjustment is what is called the neuro adaptation, and that takes a few weeks to a few months time once after both the eyes are done. So this is a new type of vision. It is not similar to the multifocal glasses. In multifocal glasses, either progressive or bifocal, when you're looking down, only the near is focused. The far is not focused. Yes, there's some distortion seen at the side that you can get used to much earlier on, but only the one thing is focused at a time. Whereas in this one, two distances are simultaneously focused on the retina. So that is a new type of vision. That's the reason why it takes a little time to get used to that. And one should, with a peaceful mind, with an accepting mind, wait for the 2-3 months time to get used to that.
What is the risk factor in this?
Risk factor. The